what's going on with
The
STAX AI.
backtest.
Okay, so STAX AI, one of our favorite filters, one of our favorite ways to find what's going on. I've just started to do this. All I did so far was put in the new prints that came in. So you guys are going to go and sit through a little bit of this with me if you guys want. Get an idea of what's going on with our upcoming prints here. What Max is going to do as I go through them is he's going to see if he can find any sort of news on any of these. And as we go back as well, we'll try to take a look at the last month or two and get not only an update on these, but also get an idea of if there was news that pushed it up higher. Because what I will say is my theory, I've been doing this back testing for a year and a half, a little bit over that now. And my theory is that Stacks AI is going to pick out the most unusual, high premium type of positions that really make you raise an eyebrow. It's the type of thing that nobody should ever be purchasing those options in terms of that strike and that expiration unless they've got some sort of inside knowledge as to what potentially could happen with it. A lot of what I've noticed with these is that within 1 to 3 months, usually, you'll get some sort of news that's going to push it up higher. The
Mhm.
big ones that Palantir with their contracts. Uh, we have a lot of energy names that pushed up because they got new contracts or new partnerships with people. Um, a lot of these, I wish I did a better job from the beginning, just linking news articles to when they happened. But ultimately, if it's not something linked to earnings, it's generally linked to just some sort of catalyst news that ends up pushing these up higher. So one of the things that I do, so every month, we're gonna go over last month's prints. I've got them right here. We got ARKK, FSLR, LEU, Riot, PDD, and Meta. And here, let's actually make this even bigger for you guys. On the left side here, what Google Finance does for me is it pulls up, something's wrong with this ARKK one. It's pulling up the wrong ticker here. But we have the spot price at which they purchased at. And then we have, I'll fix this later. We have whether or not that equity's moved up or down from there. So I usually, when I do my update, I'll take the ones that went down, put them in red. But you can see PDD is up 3% from where they got in. Riot's up 27% from where they got in. Is that right? Riot's up that much?
I mean, I think it got some pretty big bullish
Hold
flow
on,
over
no,
the
that's
last
wrong.
week.
That one's
Okay.
wrong. Riot's at 1220. Something's wrong with the way Google's pulling this up. Oh no, it is. That's right. I mean, they got in at $10. It's up to $2.20. So yeah, it is up
Mm.
27% for that. LEU, this one's a big hitter. We'll talk about that in a moment. FSLR. And Meta here is down a little bit. But one of the things you always want to keep an eye out for example, these two right here, if I put in yellow, these two are not going to expire till 2027. So they purchased for far, far out. Okay. And with their strikes of what they're looking at. And the expected move is something that we want to consider. It's not just what strike they purchased at, it's the percentage expected move from where they got in at. All right. So what I do here is these all have their contract price that are given to us by Stacks. I go into these, I have to do manually, but I go into Google Finance and I can go ahead and I can pull them up. So for example, this ARKK position, they got in at $1.80, $1.80. This one's already trading at $5.12. Okay. Now what I also will go do is we're gonna pull up the bigger chart of it, and you can see they got in on this on the 3rd, so about a month ago now. And you'll see that big volume spike on this right away. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at, if that was the volume spike, they purchased 10,000 contracts. This 5,000 contracts is very unlikely that they've fully gotten out, or if they even did get out. Okay. If we take a peek over here at this open interest at 15K, very likely they're still in that position. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go find the highs. So here you can see the high $5.55 $5.35, $5.12. So 5.55 was the high. But the volume's 93, so very unlikely they're even out of this position. So let's go ahead and go put that in here. We're going to go in here, say $5.55 for the highs. I'm going to go ahead and copy over. And we're going to say the date of that high here was 6/24. 6/24. All right. Then what we can do is we're going to show us, took us 16 days to get to the high. This one's definitely a W because it is above 15%. All right. If it's above 15%, that's where we put our threshold for these. So ARKK, great start off to that month. Last month of June, already a 208% return on that position. That's STAX AI called out for us, guys. All right, next one, FSLR. FSLR itself, they got in at 162. Now it's already trading at 170, so we can expect that 5% move for it to very likely already be up. They purchased each option at $7.10. Oh, okay, it is down. All right, we'll take a quick look at this right now. They got in back here. So the highs of them, they did already make some money. So $10.15. But there was no volume on that. However, it is the high that was traded. All right. We got to take a look. There were some lower ones. So yeah, 10.15. We do not see any volume over here, right? 4.28K. Let's take a look at their volume. They purchased 3,000 of those contracts. So it's very likely they're still in that position. So $10.15. That was one thing, though, we will have to understand. For those, when it says volume of 0, it means that nothing was traded those, even though it had those highs and lows. So you could even consider that, hey, the previous high, maybe $8.50. Or if we go back here, right, it's dropped quite a bit from that point. So they got in $7.10. I normally would put this at 10.15, but because the volume says 0, we got to go back here. We got to look at here. So $8.50. Volume of 4, but again, something was traded. So $8.50. 19% return, right? If it was that $10.15, we're looking at a 42% return, okay? However, we'll go with this because that's where the volume shows. Let's go back in here real quick and see that is on the 11th. So we're going to change this to the 11th. That's 5 days till we hit that high. Still a chance they're in there. I will eventually add some additional indicators on the side for us to say, hey, they're probably still in that position. This one, probably a bit bigger, LEU. All right, got in at $149 at that spot. That is already up 18% from when it was called out on the 9th. They purchased, this one's a bit pricier, $28.50. So $2,850 for each position. Look at that. 41.30. Let's go look at a bigger picture of it. You can see that's where they got in. 1,157 is the volume. So if I go back here and peek at that, yep, they purchased 700 of that. Let's go take a look at our open interest. Open interest still at 995. So there's a chance they're still in. They might have sold off little bits and pieces along the way. Let's take a look at the highs. Highs 65 volume, but 68.30, 64.17. So we're going to go with this one, 620, 68.30. The date was the 20th, so we're at that on there. So let's see. Oop. The return 139% on that position already. Okay. Let's continue. Riot. Close these real quick. 265. What did they get in? A 1.5. Okay. Pull out a little bit further to see. Okay, that's the most recent one. That's the highs that we see just of today. Open interest at 14K. you can see these volume spikes. Oh, my thing's tripping out right here. Well, this volume spike right here. Let's come back to it. There we go. Volume spike right here, 41,000 is probably where they got in. Might have sold off right here. Okay, so 20,000, 20,000. So this is one where you got to understand if that is the 40,000 contracts that they purchased, it's probably that they've already gotten out. Okay, you see that they got out here at 1.8, 1.9 probably is the range. Okay, however, we still hold on to it and we still consider it's still an active contract. 2.65. It doesn't show us any volume for today, but that is the highs that we're at. And again, with tomorrow's market open, this could potentially go even higher. So 2.65. And we're going to go and say this is for today. Okay. So 12 days, not bad. PDD, only up 3% from where they got in. Expirations for 2026, they've got a lot of time. $7.15, $7.14 as of today. But something to consider, they got in over here on the 20th. We had this giant spike, high of 960, 22 is that volume. So I'm going to use that one, 960. Doesn't look like they've gotten out. That open interest still at 3.67K. So they're probably still holding on, waiting for more gains to come. Just a bit of a pullback from this pop. So 9.6 on the 24th. That's 3 days for it to get a 34% return. All right. So far, everything has been a win. We can also see that on the left here with the spot prices. We're going to expect that this Meta one, unless we saw Meta go up higher earlier in the week. Meta on the 27th, this barely has had any time. I will point that one out. 1190 as of today, they got in at 14. Let's see if it went any higher over the course of the last few days. Okay. Well, there was a volume bar that just disappeared. 6.79K in terms of the volume or open interest right now. Oh, hold on. Let's go further back. Okay, there we go. This is where they got in. Might have gotten out a part of their position. We'll see. The highs on the 30th were 15.4. We've dropped back down now. So this technically, with what STAX is showing, this technically is a win. Okay, 14.2 went up to 15.4 on the 30th. 15.4 on the 30th. So that type of return, 9%. I'm not calling that a win. Our threshold for these is considered to be at 15%. So out of our 6 prints from last month, we have 5 out of 6. Let's go ahead and write that down. I'm going to copy this over. And we'll calculate that here. So we got 5 out of 6. 5 out of 6. So 83% win rate. We're going to add together our percentage returns. Divide that by the total number of prints that we had. So that's an 81% return for last month. And I will point out, and I always talk about this, the last couple days of the month, right? So for last month, it would probably be these 3, Tesla, MRK, Carvana. You'll look back on all of my back tests. That last couple days, right before the month is over, those prints tend to take a bit more time. You got to give them some time. You got to give them at least a week or two, really, for them to, let them marinate a little bit, like I like to say. So Meta, you could put an asterisk next to this one. Consider this 5 out of 5. Take away that return even if you'd like to. If I did from PDD down to ARKK and I said 5 out of 5, it would be 100% hit rate with 95.73% return. Okay, just so you know. But we're going to use these numbers for this month. our hit rate being 83%. We've got one. In the very beginning, this first one would be considered a win just because it's in positive. But we've had enough of our users tell us, we don't really look for returns until they're past 15%. So we got to kind of understand, what that type of return isn't always going to be considered a win in our, with what our strategies happen to be. Okay. So just so you guys get an idea, I want to do this with you guys today during our live stream so you guys get an idea of how I'm doing our calculations for our back tests, what it looks like when I do this. It just happened to be a month where we only got 6 prints, but you got to understand, give me a little bit of time. I will go through all the rest of these. So for example, last month we had 23 prints. I'm going through these all manually, one by one, checking each one of these one by one. All right. If you happen to know a way where I can get all of this information done and automated for us, please let me know. I'm happy to pick your brain. If you're more, you're more well versed when it comes down to spreadsheets and coding and things like that. That's not my, not my expertise, but I've got this giant spreadsheet that I got to go through and analyze every single month. Over time, just from last month, I will give you guys this here. See, all these over here. Over the last months, we've had, oh, this is off now. What was my hit rate over 100%? Oh, it's because I added these here. Let's update this. Something's not calculating right. Oh, that's why. I added some numbers in here. Where did it go? Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay. So 352 out of 386. That's the total number. Our hit rate right now is looking at 91.19% hit rate when you do add last month in there. I'll have all these numbers updated for you guys if you're in our Discord. If you're following us on Twitter, on Instagram, these will also be shared as soon as I get these updated for you guys. Give me a few days to get through there's like another 200 prints I gotta go through manually to double check if they went a bit higher. Max, did you get any
No
news on any
significant
of these?
news.
No significant
No.
news? Okay.
I think it's just, again, a lot of these can be linked to also like, are they willing to lose that much money? And I think like sometimes it can be as simple as that to boil it down. But when we do see significant movements within it, typically you will see a news article linked somewhere. It could be a week late, it could be a day late, could be an hour late, but there will always be something that kind of gives you like a heads up in a sense.
Yeah, definitely. STAX AI. This is our baby. This is the tool that a lot of people, a lot of people go and they use this. A lot of people use it blindly. They just follow the prints. There's a few that, if it goes down, it goes against them. They go and they average down. But we've seen quite a bit of success in our Discord, a lot of success with our members that have put their trust into STAX AI. Because, like Max said, a lot of these, they're spending millions and millions of dollars on a very highly unusual type of position. STAX is always doing its best to listen in for us, to try to get an idea, put its ear to the door so that we get an idea of what possible returns they're looking for. And you can see a lot of these get some pretty high returns. So imagine you just got in for this last month, and again, you put in, let's just say you put in 10K, you're up 8K in terms of these positions if you're able to get yourself out at these highs. Now, I will
Hmm.
point out, getting out and timing the highs, that's not your job. What you got to do is you got to have your own strategy of where you're comfortable taking those profits, taking a bit of that off the table. There are some people that say once I hit 100% return on one of these, I take my initial investment off, I let the rest ride. But there are some people that say, you know what, once I hit 30 or 40%, I'm going to take my profits. I'm going to run and I'm going to rotate it into the next possible Stacks AI position that comes in. I will also point out there are some of us where, for example, this LEU one, although it is a very nice return, I very unlikely I would have played this one because it's 2.8K per contract. All right, so
Yep.
some of us are going to look at these Stacks AI prints like this one, Carvana, only 28%, but yeah, they're spending over 2K on that position. The CDNS one was 4.6K per position, and it's down on its highs are down 10%. So you have to remember everybody's going to use our Stacks AI tool a little bit differently. But, for example, Dylan, DM2 in our Stacks or in our Discord, his strategy, and he's testing something out where he's spending 10K, put that in a portfolio, and he's just following Stacks AI prints that he can, and anytime it hits 40%, it automatically sells for him. So there are ways where, again, Stacks, we like to say Stacks doesn't miss, and or at least it rarely does miss when it comes down to it. But you have to have your own strategy set up for you,
Hmm.
to understand sooner or later you got to take your profits off the table, and you really have to understand that it is easy for you to see these 100% returns and to get greedy with it, but understanding that timing the top is extremely hard. And there's a saying when it comes down to options is you either sell before the top, right? You either sell and leave some money on the table, or you sell at a loss. So understand that timing that top is near impossible. That's not what you're trying to do. You're trying to make sure that you can maximize your profits as much as possible. Okay. But yeah, there we've had some months really like look at this month back here in April. If you bought in when they were buying, so look at this. In April we had 29 prints. 28 of them are wins at this point. Baba's the only one that's down right now. But 96% hit rate. On average, those ones are 180% returns, and that's all of these over. We got Broadcom, AMD. We've got some pretty big hitters. TSM, CORZ, Cores. I think this one went up even further, actually. Let me double check that one real quick. Here it's already at 352%. Yeah, dude, it's even higher. 4.1. Oh my god, okay, real quick. So 4 point, I'll update this for you guys real quick, just so that when you see the updated version, 4.15 was the high as of today. So what I'll do in here is I'll go and I'll update it. 4.15. Oh, it's a 10xer. And I'll make sure it's highlighted with our stacks blue right there. So you'll see, man, 49 days and it's a
It's not
10x
bad.
10x return, guys. Okay? Again, we do this to be 100% transparent for you guys. These are the prints that show up on stacks. If you have stacks, you can go in here. You can go ahead and compare them to our Stacks AI, every single one of these. I take all this information, transport it into our spreadsheet so that I can go over this one by one for you guys. And yeah, it takes quite a bit of time. I'll tell you guys, it takes me hours just to go through all these. When it first started, yeah, maybe an hour to go through the prints that we have. There are quite a few now that have expired, so I don't necessarily have to go through. Those are all locked in at this point. But again, our numbers, as you guys can see, our numbers here, they're here to stay. We've got a lot of 100% hitters during certain months. You just got to be patient with it. There are a few months where things dropped off a little bit, but that's why it's a game of understanding your probabilities and your risk to reward. I would never take my full portfolio, throw it into a Stacks AI position. But if you're able to take a percentage of it and make sure that you have your stop losses and your take profits set, I would say it's hard to see if how anybody using Stacks AI at this point would be looking at a red portfolio. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know today's live stream was a bit long. We're hitting almost 2 hours at this point, but that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that we go through this content, not only go over what we see in terms of our flow, but also discuss, for example, our stuff today for Stacks AI, being able to show you guys our process and to build a little bit more confidence in you guys and how we use our tools.
Yeah.
You got anything for us, Max?
No, I think we're good. It's been a slow week. It's 4th of July week, so it's expected. Next week will be a lot more busy. We got earnings season round 3 coming out
Yep.
here in the next week, 2 weeks or so. So be on the lookout for that. But other than that, be safe, trade safe, keep your stops tight, buy yourself time, and don't blindly follow trades just because someone on Twitter said to.
That's the dangerous one. For those of you guys that didn't get a chance to jump in on our 130 code, that is now expired. It was a month of stacks for $30, which is a 70% discount. But what we do have for you guys, if you are already in stacks or even if you are a new user, we've got this awesome code for you guys for July 4th. July 2025, that's JULY 2025. You can use that on Stacks for a 25% off your annual subscription. I would say don't miss out on this one. We'd only do these promos every so often, and again, it's your opportunity to get Stacks at a discount and for you to lock yourself in with these with an annual subscription. All right. That being said, this is Eric Iru here, and we've got Max Unusual Trades or Trades and Gains. We will see you guys in the next live stream. If you really love this, hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit that notification bell. Show us some love. We'll try to get on here a little bit more often instead of just Wednesday, especially as we get closer to these upcoming earnings season. All right. Have a great one, you guys. We'll talk to you guys soon.